They didn't, there was one of them that had a...
Yeah, that was the...
Scrape the bottom again.
Heckler? Was that the Heckler?
Oh, good heavens. What do you mean, you're out of money?
Well, there's, of course, there's a couple of them that
I don't know how, but I can
they will
try.
take off, you know, when the time comes. Now, the sleeve, it wasn't hurt.
You wouldn't tell me
It wasn't
what.
hurt bit.
Well, then there's 3 of these boats that was up in this low place.
Yeah,
Way clear up into the middle of town.
Yeah, there was the Yukon.
Well, they don't look like they've got any damage either.
I don't think the Yukon.
That's new zinky highball. I didn't see either one of them.
Give me one of them old zinky highballs.
When they laid over like that and threw them around, just broke everything inside of them. See, all the ribs and everything. In fact, it is cheaper to buy a new boat, build a new boat, or have one built than it is trying to patch up them old ones. That is in some of them boats, you know, not all of them.
And the parent from the outside.
In case of an earthquake, everybody hang on to their bows.
Where were you when this happened?
Right on here.
Where was it?
Oh, it was going back in and out the channel.
You were riding it?
Yeah.
Riding away?
We came in with it, went out with it.
On that tidal wave?
Yeah.
Did you ride the tidal wave?
Oh, yeah.
What was it like?
Rather rough.
That's an understatement.
Very fast tide, I'll tell you. This thing went like a motorboat.
Whereabouts were you?
Well, we was in and out the channel. Back and forth.
Did you have any warning?
No, you see, we was out picking our pot. We was 25 miles offshore, and we started into town. And when we got right about where Bob Hall's is, you know, just going in the channel, why, I said, well, it's supposed to be low water. Look at the tide. So my brother, he said, well, that's sure funny, and he reached over and he turned on the radio. We hadn't had it on all day. We'd left 4 o'clock that morning, in fact, out picking our pots. We seen guys start running, you know, and we saw the tide come through up, and then, of course, we realized. We turned on the radio, and somebody said, get out to the base, you know, the base radio, you know, that, well, everybody heading for high ground. So we was committed then. We couldn't turn around. Tide was terrible, you know. So we went through. Just about that time we hit the boat harbor, and it wasn't no more. You can boats there, but man, the tide was way up. So we went on through the city dock. Well, of course, then we knew when that went out, you know. So we turned right around and headed out, and by that time it was started back. And boy, we went through that channel, I'm telling you. And it went dry right behind us. I was in the engine room, and then I came out and looked out the back door here, and that channel was absolutely dry, 50 feet behind us. We went right on the wave, right out.
You'd have bounced on the bottom there.
Oh, we'd have had it. If we'd have been just even 1 minute later, see, we'd have never made it. They'd have just tore this thing apart. Yeah, it was quite thrilling, I'll tell you.
But you was glad it was over.
How long
Yeah,
was it before you were able to get back in?
Well, it was 6 o'clock next morning.
Are you home?
Was it rough all night that way?
Oh, it actually wasn't so rough, but terrible tides. Man, they had. Then you go like this, and then like this. And actually, the water wasn't so rough, no. I've seen a lot rougher water, but it was, the tides were so terrible, you know. Whirlpools, you know.
Swirl one way and then swirl the other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, just take this thing and spin her way over, you know, and then turn, go the other way. Pretty strong tides. I never saw anything like it in my life.
Uh-oh, hit bottom again.
But we actually wasn't any danger on here. I mean, as far as the seas, you know, nothing.
On the tidal wave. Well, John, I think.
That tidal wave sure played hot with it.
For some of them smaller boats, man, they laid them right over, you know.
Well, that 9 will take 10.
Flat, wide, you know. They're, takes quite a bit to turn one of these things over.
What's your name? What's your name?
Coles, Will Coles.
Will Coles?
Yeah.
How How many of them was out? Outside you. How many was out beside this guy? You were the only one that was out?
Oh, no.
How many others?
Yeah, I don't know.
They were going everywhere.
That's right. I don't know how many was out.
Do you have any close calls trying to stay away from other boats during those tides?
Oh, yeah. Betcha, boy.
I bet it would be.
Some of them boats, there's nobody on them, you know. They come down that channel end over end, some of them, and, you know. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had quite a job getting out of the road, you know, and so on and so forth. No.
Zigzagging through?
Yeah, that we done all right. We did.
What happened to these boats that were coming end over end, and then the channel went right behind you? What happened to them?
Oh, they all sank.
And they sank?
Yeah, you see, when they got to the channel, well, they went in deeper water, and they all sank, you know.
They're completely out
Oh, yeah, they're laying on the bottom someplace. We don't know where. We only know where one of them is. The Jaguar, that's laying right behind the buoy out there. That's a big boat. 80-footer.
The masts are sticking up in
Yeah,
the water?
yeah. That's an 80-foot boat.
How big?
80 foot. You just roll that thing like a
5 in the hole.
box down through that channel. End over end it went.
There were people on it?
Oh, there was 5 people on it.
How many?
There was 5 guys on it. Yeah.
Any of else?
Yeah, a couple of them got off on it. Once she went dry, they crawled out and jumped overboard and run up by Bob Hall's. Run right across the channel.
Is that right? Walk right on the bottom of the channel.
Well, of course, it was all dry, see, when that tide went way out, you know. Oh, yeah, they bailed overboard and run. Made it to the bank. As far as we know, the cook is still aboard it. Because they said he never come out. Of course, I don't know this. This is all hearsay, but one of the fellows that was on it, that I talked with him, and one of the fellows that jumped overboard and run, he said that the cook never came out of the galley at all. And so far as they know, he's still on it.
Are you the engineer on the...
Oh, this one, oh yeah.
Was your brother on the boat here with you?
Oh yes, he runs it. He owns it.
Oh, I see. Is the marine ways, do they have any marine ways here?
No, they're gone. They did have, but they had a floating dry dock, but
No, there isn't actually much way of fixing that.
there is no way. No, no, you take boats that size, they have to go to Seattle. That's the nearest place, you know.
And they couldn't even repair them here.
There is no place to repair them. These tides keep on, well, it won't be much of a problem, that's for sure.
And it didn't break at all. You had no background, so you couldn't even tell how high in the air it was. You know, or elevation, it just didn't show.
Oh, you mean during the tide, during the tide or the earthquake?
Cheating on me.
Yeah, I missed out what you were talking about.
We were talking about the tidal wave, the big one that came into town. What it looked like.
What it looked like?
It was... Well, as I was explaining it to him here, it looked like just like looking out here. You couldn't see the center of it, it wasn't breaking at all, and you couldn't tell even any height to it. But where it showed up off Spruce Cape, where it come up over the shallow land, the water just curved up. It was just like looking out at water this way. It ran up on Spruce Cape, and as it came up in a shoal, it kept building up higher and higher until it was a big comber. And that just rolled right over the land. I thought probably the Loran station would go, but it didn't. And then over on Woody Island, on the right, it did the same thing, but ran clear up into the trees. But as far as the center of it was, you couldn't tell there was any wave coming. You just couldn't see it.
Where were you when this hit?
I was about in front of Mission Beach, headed right out. I was looking to see what was going to build up or not. I was interested at that time.
Was it hard to ride out?
You know, if I hadn't been looking out the window, I wouldn't have known that there was anything going on. As far as the wave went, couldn't tell it.
one that, the way that everybody describes where it comes and go, it came and went, all the boats and everything?
Well, you know where we left from the city dock and the channel we come down through. I didn't see this wave going up and down that because it's behind me. But evidently it really went through there.
Did it carry your boat in and out with it?
I was coming from out at sea and I came up the channel with the first wave and I turned around right there in front of the city dock and came right back exactly as we did today because I realized what was happening. I didn't want to be with all them boats up there. So I was the first one down the channel. So I didn't get all the excitement. I was on this side of it.
And you didn't get carried back in?
No.
These waves are coming in from both directions into the channel, isn't that correct?
Well, yeah, I imagine that this here, like all bodies of water that moves, come to an island, it run down both sides of it, which is long, woody island. And when I got into Kodiak Harbor, it's coming in both ways. And when they met, they just naturally piled up, and that's why it went so far uptown. It went up the low spot. I didn't get to see all that.
How long was it before you went on into Kodiak then?
Well, I stayed out all night, and then in the morning I went ashore to see where my family was. See, I lived right along the beach there, or do rather.
Were they all right?
Yeah.
How much family you have?
He owns the lumbering business there, and he could probably tell you something about what happened to it, though.
Oh, do you?
You can see what happened over there. I have 6 children at home.
I would say that the scrap lumber business would be pretty good.
Beachcombing would be awfully good.
Was your house washed away?
No, my place wasn't hurt at all. In town.
Just your business?
Pardon?
Just your business?
Well, it was over here.
Oh. Where?
In Afognak.
At Afognak?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in Kodiak?
I came here in 37.
37. You got here before the excitement of the building of the Navy base, huh?
Yeah, I was in on the building of it.
I was too. That was quite a time then, wasn't it?
There was lots of excitement then. I was made on the suction dredge out there.
Oh, is that right?
For a long time.
Let's see, I was trying to think of the Chenard, was it?
Yeah, Frank Chenard.
Yes,
He was skipper on the Georgia when I was made on it. Gershard.
Or Geshard, yes, that's right.
He's living down on Hood's Canal, I believe, right now.
I guess you remember the days of the when they had the war scare and how they had the alert over in Kodiak.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody scattered for the woods.
I had just moved off the base and was living back in town again when that happened.
Then you remember the liquor shortage they had when they ran out of were hauling too much liquor up here and not enough groceries, so they decided to cut the liquor shipments off, and everybody had to do without it for a while.
Yeah, quite a time. But they had just as much then as they did anyway. Open for, what was it, 3 hours or 4 hours a day?
I remember when when a boatload came in, there people were standing 4 deep in line in front of Ray, what's his name?
Ray Martin's?
Ray Martin's, yes.
He made a fortune. I don't know what he done with it, but he lost it.
Where do you have a place, Joe?
Exactly where he is now. To the north.
Yeah, had a booze joint.
Mm-hmm. And he also had a PNA. All he's doing, it was right in the liquor store.
The same place? The same.
And he got in trouble tax-wise, I believe, and anyhow Uncle Sam sold him out. And he stayed right there with the P&A agency. But he still in existence, although he lost his business. I think Kraft's owned the building. Therefore they couldn't go out or take the P&A away from him.
children from the base. You remember those days?
Yeah, they grabbed my brother's wife and his children and put them on that old transport, sent them to Seattle. They had a house to live in town, you know. He couldn't keep her from going. And I had already moved into town, so they couldn't get me out of there.
Uh-huh. I guess that was quite a trip that they had across there. What reports that I heard that they had submarine scares and a few other things.
People had the jitters then anyway.
What year was that?
That was 1941, was it?
Along about 10th day of December, I think. 7th was Pearl Harbor, so it must have been about the 10th when they had them on their way.
What always amazed me was this, when they started the blackout and they had these cars and buses traveling back and forth on that road to the base, completely in the dark. How they ever made it without an accident.
That was quite a deal. And old bluff roads, you can see where it used to be way up there. One wheel hangover on the buses, you know. No lights, no nothing. Pitch black.
I took one ride into town, and that was the last one I ever took. It was a little bit too thrilling for me.
I had to go back and forth.
A couple of fellows took a fishing rod along with them, you know, and one end they tied their bottle of whiskey, and then they get out and walk past the guardhouse, and they walked along while they reeled out their line with a bottle of whiskey on the end, and they got past the guard, so then they started reeling their bottle past the guardhouse. That's the best one I ever heard.
Well, they have all kinds of ways, that's for sure.
And one fellow had a hot water bottle that he put in his belt there, and he didn't get by with that, though. I heard that they found.
Most of the whiskey smugglers.
Yeah, they got by without any.
Couldn't search them.
No. There was one that I heard they did, though. They took her over to the
That was
to the dispensary. I can't think of her name.
Carl Kearns' wife. Big rough woman.
Well, we had a lot of fun those days. I wouldn't want to go through it again, though, I don't think.
No, I enjoyed it.
Elsewhere.
It's just up past the village. It's right where we'll go. You can't land in front of the village. You can't get in near there at all. There's no harbor.
Shallow, huh?
How long have you had a mill there?
Oh, late 40s.
Well, Afognak must have grown quite a bit. I remember going over there years ago, and I don't remember much being over there except just a few cabins.
I believe in number-wise that there's probably hardly any more there today than there was.
Oh, is that right? Maybe I didn't see all of
A lot of the buildings are gone and we're right directly on the waterfront, and they've moved back a few hundred feet and they've separated a little bit more. But population-wise, I don't think it's changed. If anything, it's dropped off.
Is the old Russian mission still over there?
The Russian church, yes. It's
Did
still
it
there.
get damaged at all?
Raised the floor in it. You know, there were wood buildings, or log cabins rather, and when you build a log cabin, you build a cabin and you put the floor in. And the floor floated up in it.
I see.
Did considerable damage.
You know, as old as that, and decrepit as that building looked, it had some pretty valuable stuff in it.
I guess so. I've never been in it.
If the moving of the village, if it is moved, have on your business there?
I doubt if it'd have any.
What do you do, carry the lumber from the mill into Kodiak, or?
Oh, I was taking lumber to the mainland, to Kodiak and all over.
Anywhere they need it up.
How big a mill was it?
Oh, just a small one. About 10,000 a day capacity. We weren't even running right now when this happened. We were just kind of coasting along. There was no demand at this time for lumber. There is now, I believe.
What was the value of your mill? What do you figure it?
Now, if you're in internal revenue, it had none. Everything that, well, the loss is probably in the neighborhood of $100,000, something like that. Would take that
Are there
much
many
to
of those
put it.
lumber mills around?
No, I was actually the only one in the area.
High tides now, is there a sinking of the ground there as there was another?
I think that this sinking is pretty much normal all over this side. Because they're reporting it clear down here for 80 miles down the island, as well as Kodiak and clear around on the east side, so it must be in general.
Has anyone taken any measurements to determine if it has sunk any?
I don't know what local people have done, but I understand that some of the Army engineers and geodetic people are in here. They've been checking it out.
I see.
I've heard figures all the way from 5 feet to 8 feet, so in there somewhere probably is what they'll arrive at. And when they get all through, probably a month from now, it'll go back to normal. So.
Well, I guess that does happen.
This draw way up through here, over through the timber, you can see this mountains. It looks like a long path. Well, that's another waterway, and up there is Wakefield's fisheries, cannery. And there was no tidal wave there. It had enters come in from Chillicothe Strait. And I was there 5 or 6 days after the earthquake, and the water hadn't bothered anything, and tide hadn't been up. But since then, it's been coming clear up in their plant. It's gradually getting higher and higher.
And his plant is
So they're in trouble now. They're trying to raise the dock even, save it. So I understand right now.
It's on Afognak Island, too?
It is on Big Raspberry Island. There's lots of islands here.
Do you think
The fact is, you're looking at about 5 islands when you look right ahead here.
do you think these docks would have stood up if they were higher, say at Kodiak? Was the piling knocked out from under it, or was it just the dock just floated off?
Well, everything in Kodiak that went, the piling went out from under.
I see.
The one which didn't go was because the piling didn't come out of the bottom.
Well, now, what would make
City
it
dock.
because of shaking of it, loosen the piling, and then they'll...
No.
I can't visualize anything far off enough even water to knock the pile over.
Well, it didn't knock them over. The docks floated the piling up out of the bottom.
I'll be darned.
For instance, you got a dock with piling coming down. Maybe it goes down in the bottom of the sea here 8 feet and comes up rock.
Yeah.
It hasn't anything to hold it. But now, like Kodiak City dock, I've done a lot of work and drove a lot of piling. Some of them are down there as much as 42, 46 feet in the mud.
I see. And it has some
and
friction to hold it.
skin friction, you just can't pull them out again. And the dock, being well tied to these piling with bands, it couldn't float. Therefore, they still have a dock. But all these that are sitting on rock, like down at DNA, in there, I've done a lot of work with packers. I put in some of their main part. And a lot of it's sitting right on top of the rock. It wasn't even an inch in the ground. And, you know, it just floats off. It's just the weight on top of it.
Was that city dock hit just as, it must have been hit just as hard as those others?
Well, 11 feet of water over the top of the dock.
I imagine having boats tied up to it and not being able to get them loose would add more buoyancy too, would it not?
Oh, I think the boats were all loose from the dock.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think they hung on. Could have tipped them over if they did. They'd have sank right there.
Telling a story today. I just wondered how, just a story, but the fact that at one time when the tide went out, there was and it came back in, or the wave came back in, a boat was riding it like a surf, and it got ahead of the tide down right on the ground, and of course the wave rolled over the top of it and it popped up behind it. Did you hear anything about this, or just strictly?
I hadn't heard anything about that, although it's surely possible.
This has been Captain Del Valle of the Rosemary.
Well, we picked up a skiff with 4 people aboard it there in town. One was the commanding officer of the Air Force, handles the KCS station up there. And the other was Gordon Jenkins, that has the head of the telephone company. They were out in the skiff along with 2 other men, who I don't recall. And couldn't get back. So we had them here all night. ACS, just before I picked them up, said that the report that the Air Force had evacuated was untrue. That they were all accounted for and on the job with excepting of the commanding officer. They didn't know where he was.
And you had him on board.
Well, shortly after we picked him up, and soon as Gordon introduced him to me, told me who he was, I said, "Hey, you're missing." So we turned the radio on and called the station, and he talked to me. I'm fine.
Come on.
I don't know, the losers yell louder.
Right or wrong? Wrong.
I guess it comes in pretty handy sometimes, doesn't it, when you're...
That's a handy gadget.
What's that?
It's radar. We'll show you on the way back what it is.
I feel superior because I already asked.
Well, you use it after dark or something, you mean?
Oh, you can use it daytime or anything, but after dark, when you can tell where you are and see all the objects. You can't see this drift, but you can see like all the buoys and land, and gives you mileage and everything.
You can't pick up the buoys in that.
Oh yeah, I can go right through like that little red and black one, just as true as can be.
So you got a depth sounder here too.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been running these boats? Forever and a day, huh?
Forever
No
and a
look on your
day.
face.
Boats up here, 37. I haven't made my living that way all the time, but I've always been running them.
Where'd you come from up here?
Shelton, Washington.
Did you ever have any, get into any real bad storms that you didn't know whether you were going to get out of or not?
Oh, I think everyone's done that that's been running boats for more than 6 months.
Especially around here.
Man in the fishing fleet that had any worse experiences boat-wise in this earthquake than what they have had at one time or another on an ordinary fishing. Although probably not as much debris floating around.
How many boats do you think got out of the harbor and started out? Do you have any idea?
Did you have any trouble missing these other boats that were floating around? Did they start heading for you? Or?
Well, you want to bear in mind that when everything is floating, it's all equal.
Uh-huh.
In other words, they're all traveling together, although there may be hundreds and hundreds of stuff, which there was, but you're all the same momentum normally, with the exception like uptown where they go coasting around there. So that unless you were traveling, going through it, you would be in no danger if you just shut off and drift with it like everybody did.
Well,
Now and then they come up close to you and drift away.
Well, didn't you say you were bucking the tide there for a while? And,
Well, that was in order to stay within the harbor.
Oh, I see.
You would drift, if you just drift with it, pretty soon you'd be way out at sea. So you'd have to start up to keep back in the water again, where it wouldn't be dangerous. And at that time, well, you only went as fast as you needed to hold your own.
So you were just bucking the tides as long as you were in the harbor there. When you got out into the open, you cut and just drifted?
Just drifted with it. Had lots of company.
You mean real boats or all debris?
Oh, no, there's a lot of boats, nobody on them or anything. They're just coasting around.
Well, when they had that warning, were there quite a few of the fishermen that went down to try to save their boats, or?
Well, that I don't know. I was out at sea when it quake come. I didn't even know they had one until I was right in town.
How'd you know then? Just from the side of the tides?
I figured it out.
Just from the tides, huh?
You could see it.
How soon was it, you suppose?
About an
Anybody
hour
ever
after
tell
the
you?
earthquake.
What was the effects on your boat there during, when the earthquake happened? Did the boat, was there a sudden movement, or was it, how did you know that it was an earthquake?
I didn't know that it was
Oh,
at
you
that
didn't.
time.
You hadn't felt it until you got into
Oh, we
town.
felt it. We didn't know what happened, so
What'd it feel like?
I couldn't tell you. It would be, oh, the boat just shimmied and shook and vibrated, just like bumping these little waves, only way much more so. Until you thought maybe you were bumping bottom or something. which I knew we weren't.
Tidal wave, there wouldn't have been too much damage done to Kodiak.
I don't think so.
The ground is pretty rocky there and pretty firm. I don't think there would be any. I didn't notice any cracks in the ground there to speak of.
There's only one that I've been told of, and it's about 400 foot long.
Oh, all right.
And it's way out toward that Spruce Cape along that rock bluff. A fellow named Russ Wright just built a new home there, and he told me yesterday that it's a little over 400 foot long. It's quite irregular, you know, right between his house and the road behind him.
If we'd had that kind of foundation in Anchorage, we wouldn't have had quite so much trouble as we had.
I bet Anchorage is a mess.
It certainly is.
That Dr. Johnson's house, I understand it's all on an island by itself now. Water all around it. Have you seen it?
There wouldn't be water all the way around it, but there would be on 3 sides of it.
Can his family get out okay?
Dr. Johnson himself wasn't here. He was in Australia at the time, I believe.
Oh, really?
Oh, Doctor, his son, the young Dr. Bob. There's a little lake out there. And we came, this is a little piece of land, and this is the bay where we came by. And they had a house right on this little point, and it just came right around and the land here, well, it washed right through here. So now he's living on this, and the only way to get off it is come right around this piece of land this way. It's quite
Can't
narrow.
get into town, huh? There are 2 Dr. Johnsons then, huh?
Yeah, father and son.
Oh.
I was thinking of the old man. When I come to think about it, they both lived in the same place, just on the house side by side.
Well, he's lived there for the father is built there years ago. I know he was.
He came here in '39.
Oh, he did. I remember the Johnson home there when I came in 1940.
I had hauled him around the island in 1939 in the wintertime, I remember. One
His
time.
son's the doctor too, Bob?
Mhm.
Dr. Bob too? How many doctors are there in Kodiak?
2 now. In town, Robert.
The 2 Dr. Johnsons?
Yeah, well, the old man, as I always say, Holmes, is not practicing. His son Bob is. And then there's a fellow named Kears, K-E-R. Yeah.
Cheers.
Kears. Is the other one. They're together.
I guess they were kept sort of busy there for a while, weren't they?
Works in Johnson's office, isn't he?
Well, they work together. So I don't know what the arrangement is. I know that ever since they came here, they've been together.
No, when I write to Bruce, I used to write to him care of Dr. Johnson.
I noticed there didn't appear to be much damage to the hospital, or any at all. It was up high enough to where it wasn't affected by it.
I don't think the quake done much damage in town. Store probably shook a lot of stuff off the shelves. And whip. And you can have a piece of machinery just shiny white. When you quit at night, and the next morning it's covered with rust.
Just myself.
See this little round gadget on the piece of equipment here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the big round right there. How rusty it is?
Mm-hmm.
In 2 hours it'll turn that color when you quit using it. Roughly 8 miles an hour.
8 miles an hour.
So we've been wandering around. We haven't been coming directly to where we're headed for.
How far, of course, was Uzinki?
From where we started in town is roughly about 13 miles.
You were going straight there.
Just about the same way, only we wouldn't have went back and looked at that house, or we wouldn't have swung into Uzinki. Saved about 30 minutes, roughly 25 minutes. Time was rolled it off a truck down the road. That's why it's all so broke up. Of course, I never put a new house on it or painted it. As long as it keeps you dry sitting in there, well, why worry about it anymore?
He's talking about the crane mounted on the
Still
deck.
works, though, huh?
Oh, yeah, it works fine. There's not much to look at.
least half of the village was wiped out, I guess, when
Well, Old Harbor and Kaguyak were hit the worst. Out of all of Old Harbor, there's 4 buildings, they tell me, left.
how many
The
were
new
there?
school and the old school and the church and the missionary's house, they tell me, are still there. The rest is gone.
Yeah, I just heard it was 2, the new school and the new church.
Well,
No, wait a minute. It was at Kaguyak. They had just built the new church and it went.
yeah.
Well, they said it was left. No, it was gone. Old Harbor, they had their church left standing, but Kaguyak.
I
so
take
which
quite a
was
few
went.
buildings down to people in that area. They write to you and they say, can you build me a house? No, can you give me a house 24 by 20? How much?
I think it was kind of low too. I went up with motor. How
You
much?
hauled with this?
Don't tell you what size or anything else.
And from there, you're supposed to figure out whether they want doors and windows in it, and stoves, plumbing, or design, and then put it all together and take it down to them so when they build it, everything is there.
Do you haul it with this barge here?
Mm-hmm.
Right on the barge here, or do you haul it right on the front here?
You just take it down pre-cut, huh?
Yes.
Oh, that's just
Ready,
not-
ready to assemble.
Oh,
And they assemble. They're good carpenters.
They have some, these people with Afognak, are they, some of those people, will they be good carpenters?
Oh, yes, most all of them. They need leadership. They need someone to lay out the work for them. But if for actually work, they do good.
That's true of anybody. You just
Well, it's true of most of us, I answer that, whether you're...
Well, I feel that if we go ahead on this project, that the fact that they get out and do the work themselves, they will certainly take more interest in their homes and more pride in them than they would if the government or somebody went in and actually did everything for them.
Well, I don't think they should go in and do everything for them.
No, I don't either. I think
Give them what they need, but make them work to do it.
That's right. And
we have some Mennonites coming up to help with the project if we dig into it. There'll be 4 carpenters, 2 plumbers, and 2 electricians. And they're going to donate their services.
Good.
So they'll give the leadership.
Practicality of moving it versus rebuilding it there. Just out of curiosity.
Well, on the economic side, it's from the cost of doing it. You could probably build it there just as cheap as any place. With one exception, you can never get the roads back in. And these people have automobiles now, and they're not going to leave them.
And if we relocate it, what happens to it?
Well, it depends upon where they go to. Now, part of them want to move up past my place, and they do. They're still on the road system. There's, roughly 3 miles of road still in existence. So anywhere along it, they'd be happy. But they don't want to leave their cars, I can assure you that.
Someone was talking about the fact that they wanted to come over the next island this way.
Kodiak Island itself.
Not, it wasn't Kodiak, that's the...
Kashuyak? Well, that's Kodiak Island, but this is Kashuyak Bay we're crossing, and where they were thinking about is on down in here.
Yeah. That's what they said in the bay.
If you all lean forward or downward, I can...
Downward I am.
Oh, it's wide open to the ocean, same as here. And this all goes dry in through here, and it's real shallow. They have to put a breakwater way out in here to protect them. And in distance-wise, this is a long body of water. 2 miles right there. Maybe 2 miles. I'll give you an idea. And,
What was the other? I thought they also said something about coming back up into here somewhere.
well, this is a real good harbor, with the exception that it freezes solid with ice clean out into about here every winter. Then they can't get in and out.
Can't get out, yeah.
This lagoon freezes. This creek here is a regular big river. It isn't big as we think of rivers like the Kenai or anything like that, but for this island, it's a big volume, and this freezes solid clean out. So don't leave any harbor. And there really isn't a harbor in this bay until you go in behind something like this, and then again it freezes solid.
well, isn't you think as far as the harbor is concerned?
Well, here's your thinking. You know, southeast wind is the only one that blows in there. Easterlies sweep around a little bit, but not too bad. But it's a lot better harbor than anything to offer through here.
birds on it, isn't that correct? Is that still true? Right around
Oh,
this,
you're thinking of this, not seagull, kittywink, I believe they call it, rookery.
uh-huh.
It's this bluff you see right here with a little rock in the water, just right in the,
Uh-huh.
right where it's straight up and down.
Uh-huh.
That's where that rookery is. Which is right here.
That's where all the birds are.
Millions of them. Little seagulls.
I
Want to see in areas. Again, I couldn't tell.
just wonder whether it was BIA talking to them talking about the relocation.
Well, trip is about today to find out what to do once the villages themselves.
Mhm.
Somebody's about to say.
Well, I'm sure there's some of them want to move up in where I am. That's right up in through here.
Yeah.
Is there,
Because they have good harbors. There's a nice creek runs down out of here. And here, elk hunting.
I was going to ask you how the elk on there.
Oh yeah, they come right in here all the time.
They can hunt all of what now?
Elk, deer, ducks, rabbit,
Clam digging.
clam digging. Good clam beaches all along there. Might be a little hard to get at now, though. Tides don't go down.
Yeah.
Clams will have to migrate.
people could live pretty well there off the land in that area.
Well, they can do really good.
Are there, the people fish there quite a bit too? Are they?
It's strictly a fishing village.
I see.
Although they fish out, you know, different places, but then they live here.
Do they fish for Wakefield?
Oh, I think they fish for every outfit on the island.
I see.
They're not village ran by one company like a lot of them are, like Carlick, for instance, or Old Harbor for shearwater fisheries, Kadiak. So many of these villages only have one cannery and they kind of control it.
I see.
There's somebody that told us down there, I can't remember what school it told us, but somebody said it's about 5.5 foot drop.
I'll hit him once in a while, unless you don't fish. I've never hit with this one, but I have with other ones.
Do you normally go fishing during the fishing season, or did your lumber work to keep you going even during that phase of time?
Only 2 years I didn't fish. A long time. This is the other bay they were thinking of moving into that business, that like that.
Where they are now, they're all scattered out up and down the beach on the area photographs we have.
They are.
One
One house deep and 3 mile long.
Yeah.
A mile and a half from one edge of the village to the other.
The school is on one end of it. That's one thing they're saying, that the school is not centrally located.
No, it's clear down on one end. Now you can see the school from here. It's right behind the boom there now. But it's a big white building right here on the right. And the other end of the village is way up here at the end of the beach. It don't look far from here, but that's almost a mile and a half long. It's a mile and a half if you walk the beach by the speedometer on a car.
Has that village been more or less prosperous? I mean, have they been making a good living with their fishing and their activities?
Well, as far as I can see, it stood still for 30 years. If a house fell down one place, there was another one built somewhere. But the overall picture, I can't see it's changed any. It may have if the younger generations would have stayed here.
It could be prosperous, so I mean, if they...
Not necessarily. There's nothing to generate that. There's no harbor. They can't have any industry.
I see. Oh, isn't their fishing prosperous, though? Or?
Well, the boys make good living fishing, but they do it outside of the village itself.
Where does the younger generation go?
Relocating the village completely the way they're talking about, give a chance to get a little prosperity or potential for growth or something?
I would say it would give them better living conditions. It would give them running water, probably, and streets, so to speak. You know, it would be laid out better, because they certainly wouldn't just go and just scatter it around. They would lay it out with some order so that they could build a a better village. I don't think anyone has running water in the village, for instance. Everybody packs it. There might be one or two over in this end. In the school, I believe, finally got running water. But for years, they packed it in the school building.
Do you have electrical equipment?
They don't have power?
No telephones. And until just recently, they had no road.
How many cars do they have over there?
Last count I had, I believe, was 32 on a 3-mile road.
They're modern in that respect, then, I would say.
38 families and 32 cars.
Well, when they get twice as many cars, they'll be living up to the standards of the other people.
I think a 6-mile road then.
Your Indian Affairs or your other committee here ever talked to the Forest Service concerning the movement of the village?
Maybe the Indian Affairs may have, but BIA, but we have not.
The forestry department has been contacted, and your Department of Public Health has been contacted. And some other agencies. BLM, which is Bureau of Land Management, they have been contacted.
This comes under the National Forest Reserves, the Chugach National Forest. And they withdrew this section for the village here just a few years ago. And at the present time, all along the road system is open to home sites for people. That part is already done.
Yeah.
There'll be no problem with those who wanted to go on their own even.
For such a small village, there seems to be a lot of people that are involved in it.
Oh.
You have in a way of a store there. Did the people all go to Kodiak to buy their groceries and their clothing?
There was one general store there. Handled quite a lot of stuff.
One of the natives handled the store there.
Mrs. Mullen. She's in Kodiak right now.
Was it demolished?
Pardon?
Was it demolished?
Clear gone. No sign of it. Well, there is a sign of it, but not of where it was. It went right over this corner of the boat, straight ahead. On the beach, you can see there's kind of a cut in the beach. Goes right into the trees. That's where the store stood. And it's clean back across the lake over in the timber. A quarter of a mile from there.
Down on that. Squeaky there.
Cakes we had upstairs, very much appreciated. The reason we're out here is to see what we can do to help you. I think every one of these fellows that came on this trip today pretty much aware of the significance of what an earthquake can do, because we all gone through the same thing as you folks have up in Anchorage. And our losses are great too. But our organization is worldwide. We're represented all around the world. People wearing the same color hats we do, their motto is, we serve. And that's our purpose for being out here. See what we can do to help you get back on your feet in any way possible. I don't know how far we can go, but we figure that we can cut a lot of corners that government agencies can't. And this is a position, I think,
what has to be done right away. At the present time, we've had offers from Portland and Seattle for 1.5 million board feet of lumber to rebuild up here somewhere where it's needed. I'll have to talk to Mr. Craig, and it's his business to know where these things are needed most. We consulted with him, and he came up with the name of Afognak. So briefly, that's why we're out here, to see where we can put all the things that are being offered to the best use. We have not only the lumber that's offered, 2 or 3 carloads of finished lumber and hardware and things like this that takes to build houses and community halls and service centers and warehouses, whatever it takes to get a village back under a roof, back to business. And we figured with all these offers of help coming in from the outside, as far away as Venezuela, I got a telegram 2 days before I came down here from Venezuela. A man we met at a national convention several years ago, and also a man that's been to Anchorage to meet with us. And Chile, Venezuela, they've gone through earthquakes. They know what this is. So it's, you're not alone in your problems. There's a lot of people around the world that know because they've gone through the same thing one time or another, and they got help too. We're not a bunch of professional do-gooders. We just see a need, and we can help you out. That's what we're here for. So we need to know what you need, that's all. Wally, briefly, that's not all I have to say at the present time. Unless somebody asks the questions they want to ask, I might say any of the other lions here that have anything to offer, and explaining why we're out here, you're sure welcome to speak as far as I'm concerned. This is Bill Brown. He's from Juneau. He works for the state. He's going to inherit the job I have administrating the district lands next year. Perhaps, Bill, you're going to have something to say to us.
Thanks, Ross. Mr. Chairman, our friends from Afognak, I can only reiterate what Ross has just told you. I have seen a great deal of destruction and mutilation of property in the past week. Working with the state and with the lands, I've been privileged to get around and see what has happened. And I assure you that I can sympathize with the problems that you have here on this island. You know, being in an organization such as ours, it's very seldom that we get beyond the boundary lines of our own communities. We find a lot of work to do within our own communities. But when disaster strikes, it is gratifying indeed to see how people all around the world will hold out their hands and offer help. I have seen files in Mr. Wood's home, 2 inches thick, telegrams, letters, checks, just inquiries asking, what can we do to help? From all over the United States, down in South America, as Mr. Wood has mentioned. The same thing is coming through our state government. I've seen our governor, Bill Egan, and probably some of you know, open up 15 letters in one morning's mail and pull checks and money orders out of 15 letters, $3,500. Probably heard the story of one of the church organizations, I can't recall which one, has given the state a check for $10,000. Private donations that have come into the hands of our governor for use as he sees fit have, as of this date, gone to somewhere in the vicinity of $20,000 to $25,000, and they're coming in daily. In addition to this, the effort and the assistance that is available to you from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, from the federal government in other areas, through your state of Alaska, and through the help that the Lions have and want to offer to you, we want to see you rebuild your village, get yourselves back into the economic status that you knew before that Good Friday earthquake. Again, I can only reiterate what Ross told you. We want to help you. Please tell us how we can help you. We will pitch in.
Wally, if I may, I'd like to get things down to brass tacks here, so to speak. I'd like to ask the chairman, we have this, probably we'll have this load of lumber delivered in Anchorage here in another week or 10 days, possibly. And the Navy has offered the assistance to move it where you want it. This is one of the first things we're going to have to find out. First, if you want it. Second place, where are we going to put it? He's got this LCM over there in Kodiak. Have it, and the Navy crews will load it and they'll load it. All they need to know is where you're going to put it.
Well, we had a meeting last night, and we took a vote on the location. And everybody voted for Tishuyak Bay. I think there was 59 votes for Tishuyak. And yes, we checked the water. There's a lot of water there, and good water, good drinking water. There's a lot of water to go into the beach. So take the lumber and put it there.
We don't care where you want it.
The place where I took the vote.
You know where this is, Wally?
Yeah.
Really high. It's pretty high. Right over
Kodiak Island.
Yes, Kodiak Island. Right over towards just a little after this island. It's a low spot. But it will build a road, come down for loading. Pulling the stuff out.
Is there space to get a LST or LCM or something of that nature, one of the big barges in there?
I think so, but I never looked out to see if there's rock or anything. There's a few small boulders along the shore. We figured if they had a cactus, it's fair.
How soon are you going to have people over there? Well, I think before you can get to that question here, you people have definitely decided that you would like to move, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Took the boat out last night and all went for it.
I think the thing to do then, if you people have decided that you want to move, I think the next step then is to determine what help you can get and what is going to be necessary for you people to do, and in what way we can do this. Now, we came down here, having discussed this, the Lions have talked with us, we've talked with various other agencies, and frankly, this is a Lions Club project that they want to undertake. It has to be known as a Lions project, a project of bringing assistance to the village of Afognak. Now, under a condition such as this, where the Lions Club is the one who are making the offers, if they are the organization we can work through, we can help you much more than we could as a federal agency, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, working by itself. Now, here's what the general proposal that the Lions are prepared to make, if I may speak for you.
Right ahead, Wally.
I think that this has been developed in consultation with the people, with the Lions Club, and with the other federal agencies as to what we can do. If this can be known as a Lions project, the Lions have committed themselves to assisting you in every way possible to get the building materials for you. Building materials for houses that have been lost. A house for every family. Now, we've just approximately got a figure of around 40. Now, go ahead.
Would that take the families, all the families in the village? Take care of all the families in the village?
How
and the
many,
mill?
how many family units do you have? Do you know, Austin? Well, this is households, but how many family units who might want to live alone? See, this could be an entirely different figure. Now, you have been in, some of you, some families or some households may have two families living in that same household. Isn't this so? And you might have a younger couple, or two younger couples, or a brother and sister, or a father and mother and a couple of children, and still have another son who's married, who still live in the same home. Isn't this right? These conditions will occur. They may not occur here, but they are common. I think that we could say that the Lions Club has figured on about 40 houses, the need for around 40 houses. They are prepared to furnish you with all the lumber, hardware, and all this type of thing that is necessary. They are also prepared to give you the material that is necessary for a community hall, a large community hall with the facilities that you want and should have. The technical affairs then can step in and furnish the technical assistance, the supervision, the facilities to help move this project along. We can do this as far as that phase of it goes. The Lions have also accepted an offer from the Mennonite Disaster Service, and the offer that they have made is to provide at no cost except for transportation, which the Lions have said they would pay, free skilled workmen to supervise the construction of these facilities, your homes, and these community buildings. They have an agreement that they will do this. I think this is a very generous offer on the part of the Mennonites also. These people will come in, they'll leave their regular jobs, and come up here to help you at no charge, not getting any pay for it. Now, in addition to that, if you move, you need more than houses in a community hall. You're going to need a sewage system, a water supply, and you're going to need an airstrip, some form of transportation getting you in and out there. We have a man from the State Department of Aviation here today. We're prepared to request this assistance from the state for an airstrip. We are in the process. I've got 3 men coming down who are technicians in the field of community facilities, such as sewage and water. They're going to give us an estimate on what this might cost, and we're going to request a new sewage system and a new water system for you. Now that leaves probably about one big thing left, and that's a school. Should you move because your location here is no longer tenable, we are prepared to ask for additional funds as soon as possible and build a new school for you at the new location. Now, all of this cannot be worked out in a period of a day. The Lions, however, are pushing us very hard. We've got to run hard in order to keep one step ahead of them. They already have these commitments for this material. They're looking for a place to unload it. This material will be arriving up here fairly shortly. This is why we are so pleased to hear that you have, as a village council, and as the entire village, unanimously decided that you want to go one specific location. We assume from this, then, that you will stay there. I think this is a necessary assumption. I think this is just about the general proposition that the Lions Club wishes to offer to you. I did it merely because I wanted to show the relationship of how we could work together. We will take care of the supervision of the project. The Lions Club is the spearheading organization, the organization that we can come to and say, this is what the requirements are. The whole thing is, do you want this help?
Yes, we'd like that help. And I was just going to ask you, the people, would that take in the people from the sawmill? From here?
This whole strip.
This whole, the village and the sawmill and everything. Any of them that wanted to go from the sawmill, gave it to them.
I probably should have given you a little background on this as to why we proposed Afognak in the first place. As you know, Old Harbor, Kaguliak, and Shaniga were just about wiped out. There are ways that we can take care of them through federal aid and through agencies such as the Red Cross. However, here you have a peculiar circumstance where out of 38 homes, 23 are practically demolished or untenable. Normally, we could help you rebuild in the same location. The Red Cross could do this. But what about, say some of you didn't want to remain here. Some of you wanted to go over to this new area of Kashuiak. The only people we could help to move over that way would be these 23 people whose houses have been destroyed. All right, this splits your village. You want to maintain the integrity of your village. You want to stay together, don't you? All right. The only other answer would be to rebuild in the same location. This is not what you want, is it? All right, then this is a ready-made situation whereby the tremendous aid that can be offered by the Lions Club, we can support them. And if it's your decision to move, they're prepared to help you with 40 homes or whatever is necessary. 36, 38, 40 homes. You see, this is the reason why we proposed Afognak, because we do have methods of helping the other villages to the maximum. Here we do not have this opportunity. This does give us this flexibility, however, by working and having this as a Lions Club project. I think this is a real important thing.
If the lumber comes, well, we'll have to have some men over there to meet the barge when it gets there and put that stuff away then. If they know just when the barge is going to be there.
I think that this is the time when you're coming up with what can you do to help. You can furnish manpower here up until the fishing season starts, right?
We can furnish some manpower up during July, and then from July, some of them go salmon fishing for about right after the 4th of July till on the 15th of August, and they'll be back. But there's still 2 months that the men are laying around. They could be over there working.
You can have a lot done in 2 months.
Yeah. But then we'd have to get tents and fuel and groceries. I guess we'd have to get that from Kansas.
We're prepared to help you on that too. The thing is, we want to organize this and set this up as a very smooth operation, where you people do everything you can to help yourself, and we'll do everything we can to help you. And by we, I mean the Lions here.
Is there any provision for churches?
Ross, perhaps you could answer that one.
Well, ma'am, the material will be given to you to do what you want with it. If you want to build a church, I'm sure nobody's going to object to that. It won't be me.
One question I had, in order to make it practical to put all these utilities in these buildings, it means that the houses are going to have to be built fairly close together. You won't be able to scatter yourself the way you have in this village. And people are going to have to live a little closer together. Now, is that going to be acceptable to the village?
Yes, I guess it will. And one question I'd like to ask, will they have a surveyor over there to survey the place and mark out the lots and the road and everything before this goes through?
Here we get into the technicalities of it. We've already spoken to Mr. Gustafson, who incidentally happens to be a Lion also. And Afognak right now was about 4th on the list to be surveyed this year for town site. And we think that we can get some pretty fast action on this through the facilities of Mr. Gustafson's office. He's a town site trustee. We certainly want to have this done in such a fashion that you can all obtain title to your own lots. This can be done. We would like, and we feel it would be very desirable for you to incorporate, perhaps as a 4th-class city. This gives you your formalized, perpetuating type of self-government, which makes you almost autonomous. So you can just about govern yourself as you see fit with very little restrictions. These are technicalities we'll have to work out with you. The main purpose in coming down here today, and as you realize, when Ross said we spent 13 hours coming down here, our time is getting short. We've got to get back, too. We've got we've got a plane waiting to take us back, And I might as well put in a plug here for Northern Consolidated also. They donated an F-27 to fly the lines and the rest of us down here and back, which I think again was a very generous thing there. You can see the type of assistance you're going to get. We can iron out these technicalities. I'll be down here myself and we'll be working very closely with you. I'm sure that the Lions are going to be very interested in it, and whenever possible, they will come down. Certainly, whenever I come down, I'll be more than happy to bring any of their people that we have room for down with us. The main thing I think is that this is the Lions program, and we are supporting it. It merely happens that we have the tools to organize this thing. This is the reason why I have spoken as much as I have today.
I have one other question. This new location of yours is, could you kind of describe it? What is the advantage of this particular location? Is it protected? Is it, will it be subject to this same sort of title action? And could you tell us a little bit about what this new location is?
Well, the new location is the land. It's high land. It isn't low like this place here. It's really, it's flat on top. It's pretty flat. And on this last tidal wave we had, there's a mark there you could see. It didn't come up too far there. It wouldn't be too far because right from the beach it comes up on a pretty good slope, you know. And then it levels off right on top. And it runs level quite a ways back, and there's a mountain behind, and you can climb. If you have to, you can climb that. It's really... But I don't think you have to.
You having a footpath marked out yet?
Lights there?
It's really a nice spot. If the water ever did come to the top edge, you still have a lot of room to run.
Well, you still have a place for your boats and that sort of thing. Is it a
Yes,
harbor area?
Well, it's good for all winds but southeast. The southeast blows right in there. That's the only drawback there. The southeast blows. But I don't know. I never was in there when the southeast wind did blow, so I wouldn't tell. I couldn't tell you how big a sea or anything.
Do you have a south that type of wind very often?
Yes, we have southeast wind here quite often, and northeast. But northeast is real good over there. But there's an island out there, and if they could make a breakwater there, make a fine breakwater right from the beach to that island, and then come out from the island heading up the bay. It'd be a fine breakwater. We have a real nice breakwater for any wind. It'd be really good.
How's the water there? Is it fairly deep where you can get a boat in? Or?
Yes, when we went in there yesterday, we took a boat. Went in on a boat, and we had a pharometer on all the time. And we were watching the pharometer as we were going in. There was a lot of water. Where we anchored, right close to the beach, we had 5 fathom of water.
Ed,
10,
excuse
12.
me, we're out here, let most of these people out here that Afognak asked the questions. You're kind of hogging the conversation here, now bat you down.
Okay, well, I'm just interested in
Good
what we're done.
question. Oscar, some of these people I know are going to say, well, what in the world's a Lions Club? Well, you have a former Lions member back here, Mr. Hamilton, your school teacher, and I suggest you get together with him after we leave and pin him down and ask him what it's all about. I'd like to, Mr. Hamilton, I'd like to leave these magazines here for you and pass out to anybody that wants to read any information on them. Has anybody got any questions? Crockett?
I have a very important question in order to hold this building together. What is planned with the homes, the habitable homes, after they move? I think this is very important if we're going to stay together. Do you have any plans on that, Oscar?
Would you repeat, please? I didn't get you.
What do you intend to do with the homes that have not been destroyed by your tide or by your earthquake?
Well, some of the people were talking about they'd like to move their homes. But there was a way of getting scows or cats or something to move them, you know, down to the beach and put them on scows and move them. I guess some of them would like to move their homes.
I'm going to tell you the reason I asked this question because several people know that the villages attempt to move before and then later they would split up and some of them would come back and later they would all come back to their original
Well, I don't think anybody will want to come back here.
Have you ever had any trouble here other than this wave here, previous to this?
Well, we had a scare once before a tidal wave. I don't remember, it must have been around 19 years ago. We had a scare and we had to take off for the mountains. But just one night we spent up there that time. But this time here, it took off the roads and everything. That time the tide just came in, then went back out again. And that was it. It came up a little higher than it should have that time. But this time it came right over the roads and over the houses and did a lot of damage. Perhaps some of you people from the news media would like to ask the Oscar some questions. Sure, be glad to answer. Does anybody have any other questions before we head back for the dangerous life of the big city?
Following up on Tucker's suggestion there of moving back, would it be possible after the village got completely moved to the new location to keep anybody from moving back to the perennial buildings that were left here?
I don't think you're going to have any trouble that way. Most of the people here have got itchy feet. They
Yes, I understand they have itchy feet today, but if I 5 years from tomorrow today, then they'll move back to graduate from the other buildings.
Not unless this land picks up about 10 feet.
One of the things there also is that they can use this for salvage material to build sheds or something to supplement what they have over there.
Great. Would there be a possibility of getting assistance from BIA and setting up some sort of officially cooperative to provide an economic base for this village that we want to move?
This is very definitely a part of any reconstruction program. It would have to include an economic development program at the same time. At the present time, I do not have my project development officer. We are going to get a new one, and this is going to be one of his first assignments, to come down here and help you in any way he can to help develop industry.
Chuck, Paul, do you have anything to...
I don't have anything to add today, Oscar. I'm just as glad as most of you are that these folks have been kind enough to come down and offer us their assistance and the materials and so forth.
Mr. Eric, do you have any?
I just came along to see what did happen.
I think this man over here has a question.
I'm from the Department of Aviation. I'd like to ask a question as far as when we put in an airport, you talk about level land. Can we get an airport in within the community, not too far away, or we don't want it down through the middle of the town or anything?
No, there is a long stretch of level land there. We can make a really good airport.
Now, the prevailing winds there, is this going to disturb anything as far as...
No. This airstrip would be right down on one end of the village. And all the houses and everything would be clear, and I don't know what direction it's running though.
It would be more or less north and south.
This is where the land is.
And southwest.
Northeast and southwest.
That's about pretty close to it.
It's, how long do you think it is? How long? At least a mile?
That's fine.
Yeah, it's about a mile long there. And on the side of it's made a, they can put the buildings, it's really nice. But the only thing that I guess the fellow'd be able to land it someday now is if those it's really level.
What was the vote again on this move?
This vote was 59 votes for moving to Kashuyak.
None against.
None against. Anybody have any other questions that I can answer for you?
Well,
Here's a lady who has a question.
Now, our house is so big that I don't know how it's ever lived with. My husband thinks he can. Would we have to leave it, or would we be without a home over there because ours didn't get damaged here?
No, this is not the intent of the offer of the Lions at all. They want to see you get in good housing, housing that is suitable. And this is one of the reasons that Afognak was selected, because we could not normally have helped people in your circumstances otherwise. In this particular case now, the Lions have indicated that they would be prepared to furnish the materials for a house for everyone in the village. Now, I've done something here, Oscar, that I don't normally do. I realize that we came in and had a short time, but I think that something like this should be formalized for the benefit of the Lions organization and for the benefit of the Bureau, as well as for your own sake. So I've drafted a resolution here, which I would like to submit to you and your council, and have you take a formalized action on this, if this is in accordance with what you desire. And if I may, I'll read it to you so you all see what this resolution is. Whereas the native village of Afognak suffered serious damage to property during the Good Friday earthquake on March 27, 1964, and subsequently by tidal wave action. And whereas the land mass is settling and tides raising to an extent making the present village site untenable. And whereas 23 out of 38 homes must be rebuilt. And whereas aid that can be extended is primarily directed to those having suffered direct losses as a result of disaster, and difficulties would be encountered in obtaining assistance for those whose homes are intact. And whereas the 49th District Lions and Lions Service Club International has generously offered assistance in the reconstruction of our village. And whereas the people of the native village of Afognak have discussed their problems and by common consent have resolved to move the site of the village and the village retain its integrity, now therefore be it resolved that the native village of Afognak will remove from the present site and relocate to the vicinity of Kashuliak Point. I think I named that point wrong.
Settlers Cove.
Settlers Cove, maybe we'll have to amend that to Settlers Cove. And be it further resolved that the offer of assistance from the 49th District Lions Service Club and Lions Service Club International be gratefully accepted. And be it further resolved that the Bureau of Indian Affairs is requested to render such further assistance as may be required beyond that given by the Lions Club, so as to provide community facilities to include power, sewage, water, and school facilities in our new location. And be it further resolved that the native village of Afognak expresses sincere and great appreciation of the aid tendered by the 49th District Lions International and Lions International. Now, I have prepared this in hopes that this was acceptable to you people. And I would particularly like to ask that here and now you call a council meeting and confirm or reject this resolution. I think there was a question over there.
One question in my mind as I was over there yesterday. I saw the remains of the building and its fence. And there was a possibility in my mind that someone might have a patent piece of land in there.
This again goes back to one of the technicalities that the Bureau of Indian Affairs will have to help you on. We have our, I have a realty officer, and he has been specifically requested to check out the title status of these lands over there. And the only trouble is, the Bureau of Land Management's records were shaken up pretty badly by the earthquake, and they won't be in shape where they can even look for this material for another week. So, assuming that a suitable location over in that vicinity can be found, and assuming, and I don't think there's much question about this, that the other technical problems can be resolved, as soon as you sign this, you set into motion, if you confirm this, you set into motion the wheels whereby, as soon as I get back, we will have a group of technicians down here going over, visiting the area, checking it out with you, and trying to lay it out in a reasonable order, in a systematic method that is acceptable to you. I might mention also that many of you are concerned, of course, about the houses. Frankly, it's most desirable, for economy's sake, that you stick to one general type of construction. I think this can be considered as necessary. But the houses themselves will be adapted to the peculiar needs of the family. We're prepared to carry on at the point that the Lions Club can no longer carry on. We're prepared to do all of these other things.
That house that's at Kashuliak, that used to belong to Wingfield. They had cattle there, and the bear killed all the cattle off,
so they moved out of there and that building fell down.
I assume then their lease has expired. I don't think that, frankly, that with the situation you people are in, that we will find any land problems that cannot be resolved fairly rapidly. And believe me, we're going to try to make this just as complete a project all the way through as can possibly be done. But remember, you are going to have to contribute in any way you can. If it's by labor, fine. If it's, say, the women getting together and preparing meals for the laborers in general, this is necessary. Don't think we're going to let you starve in the meantime. We have our welfare program, and we're prepared to supplement your needs and meet your needs there. You might have a question as to fishing gear and this type of thing that have been lost. We'll do everything we can to assist you in getting back and established in your economic base that you've been habitually accustomed to. Now, if I could turn this over to you and have you discuss it, and if you concur, I think that this would be a, getting a picture of some of the signatures, people signing this might be very worthwhile. This is the activating document that will help the Lions activate their action and will enable us to get started tomorrow morning.
Before you go, I'd like to thank all of you on behalf of all the Lions that come over here and the rest of the Lions that weren't able to come over for taking part of your busy day of reconstructing your homes to come down here and meet with us. Thank you for your hospitality.
E-L-L-I-S-O-N.
Thank you very much.
Who are the members of the council? Frank Sherty. Who? Frank Sherty. S-H-E-R. T-I-N-E. Johnny Nelson. And Arthur Nelson.
Well, Claude said the anyway, or is that just missed on the windows? Those Claude.
Oh, I think it's just missed. No fault.
Johnny Fester.
I don't know if they realize
And that's all in the committee.
John Gates, Mr. Gates, and the state bureau.
No, I never met anybody. I never was out of here, and I just stayed here.
Well, I know, but I just thought maybe Mr. Gates is the head of the governor's rural development program. I thought maybe he would fit in here.
No, the only fellows that were here was just two of them from some mission that came here, you know, told about the carpenters, electricians.
It's been a pleasure to meet with you, sir.
Thank you for all the...
Very nice to
I'll
meet
take you down as soon as this is done.
Will it be all right for me to leave my tape recorder going here?
Yeah, I don't care. You just go ahead. Record your password. Yeah.
I was mentioning that you need a